Hello, everybody. Tracy Mrs. JDog Flanagan here with you today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president of JDog Brands, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Tactical Treasures, a podcast sharing the stories of veterans and military family members that have been impacted by specific items in their lives. I will be interviewing voices in the veteran space to search for inconspicuous objects and moments that they turned into tactical treasures for their military career, business, or life. Today, I have the honor to speak with Stephanie Brown, founder and CEO of the Rosie Network. Welcome, Stephanie. Thank you for agreeing to do our podcast. So, your bio, I've read it. It's pretty amazing. You've just done everything. So, rather than read your bio to our listeners, I just thought that I would give you some time to just tell us a little bit about yourself, your affiliation to the military, and how the Rosie Network came to be.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. And I love this tactical treasures. That is so spot on. And you really got to think about it. When is that moment? What is that treasure in your life, right? So I really quickly, I grew up in the military. I don't remember a time when I haven't been part of this community. My father was active duty when I was born, and he did two tours in Vietnam. He did over 20 years. When he retired here in California, he actually opened up a music store. So he jumped straight from the military into being an entrepreneur. I don't even think I knew what the word entrepreneur was at the time. I was still in high school. But I spent a lot of time with him in his shop. And then, I ended up marrying into the military. My late husband did 30 years active duty in the Navy in the SEAL teams, and I've raised kids in the military. So it is, kind of hard to imagine my life doing anything else, quite frankly. And because I love entrepreneurship, and I was a business owner when I met Tom. I was actually living in Washington, D.C., and I met Tom at a card store. I was buying birthday cards for girlfriends of mine, and I noticed this, rather handsome looking guy standing behind me. He was actually stationed at the Pentagon, and lo and behold, a year later we were married and moving overseas. So I left the business. I actually sold the business that I had there in DC, and then I became a military spouse. And it was great. It was great. We had a lot of amazing times. I got really involved in helping and supporting the command and the families. But one thing I did notice and miss was having a career, having a job, having, not that I didn't love getting to know and being, trying to build and be a part of the command. I missed having a business. I missed having a job. I missed having a career and something, of my own, which is really, I like to think, the seeds at the time that got planted that later became Rosie, later became what I ended up doing, fast forward through our married life. And I think next year we celebrate our official 10-year anniversary, even though it was all being worked on and percolated before that. But yeah, this is a community I love. I love it. I just can't imagine, like I said, doing anything else. And it's sort of marrying the community that I love, right?
Right,
And the thing that I love to do, which is, entrepreneurship, like
right.
starting businesses, helping others start businesses, putting on that creative cap and getting, diving deep into the weeds and figuring it all out. I love that.
Right. And
So,
I think that's such a need too in the military spouse community. I mean, the unemployment is astronomical. I think it's even worse now
yeah.
with the pandemic. And I understand also too, you're co-founder of the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce with Jamie Chapman, and she was
Yeah.
actually the very first podcast that I did, and we
Oh,
talked
great.
and we talked a lot about the military spouse, the PCSs, and how difficult it is to have a career, let alone be a business owner. And
Yeah.
so, you know, and so you've kind of done all sides, being an
Yeah.
Air Force brat and a mill spouse. And so Tell me, how does the Rosie Network actually kind of work? Like, how do you help mill spouses into entrepreneurship?
Well, we actually serve transitioning active duty, veterans, and military spouses. Being a military spouse myself, and you know this, and I'm sure Jamie shared it. Our challenges are different, right? We often find ourselves in a position of being a single parent when our service members go off for training or deployment, et cetera, and all the reasons it's difficult to have that traditional job. So I think, recognizing first and foremost, it's taken a long time, Tracy. I mean, there were times when I felt like I was banging my head against that brick wall behind me,
Mhm.
which isn't real. But it felt that way because there were very few people back then that were talking about self-employment, business ownership, remote work, entrepreneurship for military spouses in particular. It was all 99% of it was how to get spouses traditional jobs, that 9 to 5, and or get them in to get, into higher education, which is and those are fantastic. But we know that it's tough. It's tough to do that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why there is such a high unemployment rate and underemployment rate, right? Finding something in your career path. I have just been, I think I'm hardwired, and some people are, to want to build and create things myself. But I know I'm smart enough to know that you can't do it alone. I mean, you can, but it is very lonely and very
It
difficult.
is.
So
It's very hard.
recognizing that doing it together, right, as a tribe, as a community, as a network, was really the better way to go. It all began with Rosie's List, that Angie's List, Craigslist,
Mhm.
uh, you know, rosieslist.org, the largest search tool of its kind to find JDogs all around the country and other veteran and military spouse owned businesses. But I learned that there was a gap. There wasn't a real training program unless you wanted to go and do an MBA in college. And who's got the time to do that?
Right.
So it was, how can I pass on as a previous business owner, having sold 2 businesses and experienced failure too? How can I pass on, bring really smart people together and actually create a program that we can provide for free to give our military entrepreneurs the skills and resources that they need? They're experts in their business, but they may not know how to get a trademark, the difference between trademark and a copyright. Should they be an LLC? Should they be a C corp? What are the different, what are the tax implications? What are the liability? What's the liability like between the two? Things like that. How to effectively market your business. The list goes on, right? You were
Right.
part of creating this extraordinary brand called JDog. You know what goes into it.
Yeah.
You're an
Yeah.
expert on your business. Sometimes it's kind of nice to get a little bit of help, and I believe in doing it in a structured way, and in small cohorts, and watching the collaboration and support and mentorship take place has been absolutely mind blowing.
That's
Way
awesome.
way better, way bigger, way more empowering than I ever envisioned it would become. And so it is a free program. It's called Service to CEO, and it's available for, as I said, active duty veterans, military spouses. We have chapters all over the country. We provide it all virtually now due to COVID. So there's no excuse if you have an idea percolating in that little brain, big brain, and you just don't know, or you don't have the confidence to to launch it, to take that leap. Then truly coming to the Rosie Network and clicking on program and find a chapter, find a virtual cohort that fits your time frame, and learn more about it. It's really, I mean, it has, we have a 98% net promoter rating. I didn't even know what that meant, but basically means that 98% of the folks that go through our program would highly recommend it to somebody else. So Don't know
That's
who the
great.
2% are, but you never make everybody happy
Right. Well,
100%
hey,
of the time.
sounds like you're doing the right thing. That's really awesome. So, being an Air Force brat, right? I'm sure you moved around the country and overseas, with your father's service. So, I'm sure that that impacted your relationship with physical items.
Yeah.
So, I would just ask, do you have a physical item treasure, or is your treasure something else?
You know, I had to think about this because if you are and I use the term lovingly, so I hope I don't offend anybody, military brat.
Mhm.
I think when you do move around a lot, you learn in some ways not to place too much passion or importance into physical items because sometimes they get lost
Right.
or you pack them up and they don't show up where when you arrive. So but there are those things that my father was a musician. In fact, even during active duty on the weekends, he would play in the O Club, the officers club. He retired as a master sergeant, and that was one way for him to make extra money, but it was really truly his passion. And when he retired, he opened up a music store. He became a small business owner here in California, and his music store was called Fourscore. And if you're a musician, you understand what that means. If you're not, you probably don't.
Right.
But he opened up the store, and again, he knew music, he knew people, he knew how to share his love and passion for music. And I was kind of behind the scenes doing inventory, doing the stocking the shelves, doing the cash register after school and on the weekends, et cetera, et cetera. And he used to give music lessons. He built his own little sound studio in the back, and he did instrument repair. I mean, he was just incredibly talented. True, a voice that would make you fall in love, which is what happened to my mom. So, but he didn't. Here's what I learned. Here's my treasure, my emotional soul treasure that my father gave me. He gave me a passion and a realization for service. I was kind of young, so I didn't really get it at the time, but I get it now because I used to say to him at the end of the day, when we would have to pay the bills, I would say, Dad, why did you just give away a guitar? You gave away a guitar, or you just signed up that kid for 6 free music lessons. How are we going to make money? How's this business going to make money? Blah, blah, blah. And he turned to me and he said, Stephanie, for me, creating a business, running this business is not about making money. If we can pay our bills, we're successful. It's not about making money. It's about giving back. And I realized that kid that he had given music lessons to was the child of another Vietnam veteran, right? The
Makes perfect
guys,
sense.
so the word spread. Guys and gals who had served would come into the store just to be around another Vietnam veteran, just to whether they were a musician or not. So looking back on it, and when I started this, I realized, wow, what a powerful message. If you're building a business that's all about making money, it's a poor business. If you're building a business that helps others and creates impact and gives back, then that is a wealthy business and a rich life. And that was, when that sort of thunk hit my, in the head and hit me in the heart, that I realized that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I want to create something that outlasts me. My father passed away about 10 years ago. I think about him every day. I know he's up there proud, going, "You go get it, do it, Stephanie. I'm so proud." I know he's proud of me. Um, and the physical thing that stays with me are his Master Chief stripes.
Oh, yeah.
When he passed, going into his shop because he ended up selling the store to a young veteran, which again was, of course, that's the only person he'd ever sell it
Of
to.
course.
And the guy didn't have money, so he let this young man, pay it off. I mean, that was my dad. Okay, just rich that way. Um, but we walked into his workshop, with had 50 pieces of musical equipment. I mean, he could play the trumpet, piano, guitar, you name it. And, all in different states of disarray or broken apart because he loved to work. And there on the board were his master chief stripes and master sergeant stripes. I'm sorry, Navy. And that's what I have. That's what I have to remember, that physical thing,
That's
that
and
physical
and
thing.
that's really special. Obviously, you had a very close relationship with your father, and I can appreciate all how it is. When you're looking at a business, it really should be about being impactful and giving back. And I remember my stepfather, but I call him my dad because he raised me since I was 5. Um, he was Army veteran. He fought in Korea, and you know, we ended up working together in his business. He was a financial planner, and I love to say that that was the best job I never had because it didn't really feel like a job. I
Yeah.
was working with my dad, and I enjoyed those last years with him, working with him. And when he passed, he literally, for his funeral, had 350 people come to his funeral.
Wow.
And this was just a guy who would give the shirt off of your back
Yeah.
and just wanted to impact and make a difference wherever he was. And he wasn't anything like super special, but he had just touched people's lives. He had reps all throughout his, financial and insurance career, and all these people, I was blown away, and I thought, wow, what a legacy to see that how
Yeah.
much he impacted so many people. It was just amazing. And I'm sure it sounds like your dad was exactly the same.
I think sometimes we don't realize and appreciate, our parents or mentors or people that have impacted our
Mhm.
lives until they're gone, right? Or until we're
True.
older.
Yeah.
And, certainly he was, my dad was my hero. He was my hero. He lived a life of such integrity and humbleness. He was really such a humble man. And it get like yours, like would give you the shirt off. If you saw somebody pulled off to the side of the road, he would pull over and go, "Can I help you? Is there anything and I love that. I loved it about him. Now, as a teenager, I'm not gonna lie, it would sometimes embarrass me
Yes. I
because
remember those
you
embarrassing times.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He could not walk into a store or a restaurant and not make friends with people. He
Right.
just couldn't do it.
Mhm.
And I, as a teenager, like, oh, dad, please. But I think, I inherited some of that too. I mean, I inherited that. I just love people. I love people and I love creating. And I love seeing other people create and have that moment of aha, or I can do this. I can do this. It's not that hard. That's rewarding. And what you're doing is giving back and being a part and engaged in the community. I tell people a lot of, I see this happen all the time. When we say, okay, what are the top 3 things that you need to help your business? Marketing, like somebody to do marketing is almost always in the top 3, right? And marketing can cost money. And I tell them, look, one of the best things you can do to market your business is help others. They become amplifiers of your message, of your
True.
brand, of
True.
you. Help others and you'll get it back in spades. Don't spend a ton of money advertising on Facebook, not at least not right away. Build a network and build ambassadors and build advocates and then give back. Give back. right?
Networking is definitely key. Totally key.
Exactly.
Yeah, to get your name out there. So, what are you doing now? I mean, I know you're, um, definitely in Rosie Network, but do you have anything on the horizon or new projects that you are
Oh,
embarking on? Do share.
well, a true entrepreneur, never has more tricks up their sleeve. So yeah, it's crazy. We publish a magazine. We actually years ago featured JDog, in your rather somewhat early days in one issue of our magazine, and which we tell these stories for free, right?
Mhm.
We don't knock on your door and go, "Hey, pay us. We're going to tell you a story about your veteran or spouse-owned businesses." That's part of our mission, part of our passion. I am working with AFES. So everybody knows AFES, Army Air Force Exchange Service. We
Yes. Mhm.
just launched just a couple of months ago a brand new supplier diversity portal for non-contract spend, which you can Google that, but it basically means it's government spend using a credit card versus contract spend. So, for instance, if you have a dry cleaner or a copy store or a product, anywhere across the country near an AFES, a military installation, and you want to sell it to not just AFES, but the Air Force or the Army, that you can do it through this brand new portal. It's called the National Diversity Veteran Small Business e-marketplace, and it's run by AFES. We're just helping to fill the pipe and get the word out and help people on board. And it's really kind of it can be a stepping stone to bigger contracts doing business with the DoD. So I'm excited about that. In fact, we just presented on it today again, and we've gotten real buy-in and excitement from the Air Force and the Army. They want to do business with our veteran and spouses. Um, so if
That's
anyone's
great.
interested, they can always reach out to me about that. Of course, about the Military Spouse Chamber
Mhm.
and our certification and the
Yes.
companies that have stepped up to accept it.
I know, it's
I mean, I
awesome.
never would have thought,
Yeah.
that
Jamie
we would
shared
get
all
that.
of that with us. Yeah, it's really an amazing feat
It's,
that you guys, were able to pull off and get done. So
and I'm
if
doing co-working spaces for military spouses with Soldier for Life.
Oh, okay.
Co-working spaces on installations. We have two of them open right now, but we're working on opening more. And Rosie will provide, entrepreneurial networking training, get-togethers. The Mill Spouse Chamber will do the same. So that's exciting. I love advocating. I love advocating. I'm not smart enough to teach a class. The experts teach the classes. I like advocating. I like trying to create that seat at the table for our military community.
Well, it definitely sounds like you're doing that and more. So if people wanna find out about everything that's going on, where can they find you?
So the rosienetwork.org, right
Okay.
over me. It's Rosie the Riveter. And if you don't know who that is, please Google it before you reach out to us. No, I'm kidding. The rosienetwork.org. You can find me on LinkedIn. I think my LinkedIn handle is the Stephanie Brown, because believe it or not, there are other Stephanie Browns out there.
Mm.
Or millspousechamber.org. Follow us on Facebook. I think we're on Instagram, Twitter. I'm not an expert on social media. I know I love seeing y'all's posts and how you've grown and what you're doing. I love reading that. But yeah, there are ways to reach out to us. But really, the best way, sign up for our newsletter.
That's great. Okay.
Rosienetwork.org, sign up for our newsletter.
Okay, awesome. Well, it has
Thanks.
been just an absolute pleasure with speaking with you, Stephanie. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and taking time out of your busy schedule. And Operation Hidden Treasures, just so you know, airs this Sunday, 8 a.m. Eastern time. But you're in California, right?
Yeah,
So okay,
yeah.
so you're gonna
We're
want to,
used to it, the time change.
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I've got it. What do they call it? TiVoed. So
Got
I'm
it.
I'm excited. We're tuning in. We're
Awesome. You can also catch it on the American Heroes channel too.
right,
Yeah. So,
right.
okay, well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
everybody should tune in. I've seen the previews and I'm pumped.
Yeah, we're
I'm
very
I'm really pumped.
excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, great speaking with you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for having me.
Oh, thanks for chiming in and coming on our podcast.
Anytime.
For all the viewers watching, please don't forget to check out Operation Hidden Treasures, airing on Sunday on Discovery Channel at 8 a.m. Eastern, to see more stories of veterans turning junk to jewels. The new series follows enterprising U.S. military veterans and their families whose mission is to salvage and repurpose otherwise unused items and turn them into hidden treasures for people in need. Every episode will also include a JDog auction of an intriguing item discovered during a cleanout and made available to bid on by the public via the JDog website. Proceeds from every auction are donated to the JDog Foundation, which helps fund PTSD resources and supports veteran organizations combating veteran suicide. These items currently listed for auction, so go and take a look on either jdog.com or operationhiddentreasures.com to see if one of the items can become your new treasure. Don't forget to follow Stephanie on all of her outlets, and we look forward to what is in store for the Rosie Network in the future. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. Bye bye.